Okay. Hi, everybody. It's President's Day weekend, and I learned some things this morning. This weekend basically started because of our first president of the United States, George Washington, and we celebrate it on the third weekend of February, and it's always kind of around his birthday, which I think was February 21st. You can correct me if I'm wrong. That's when John and I got married. Yeah, we're looking at 49 years this year. 49 years. And we're alive to tell the story. Well, I am I always say I'm so excited about this interview, but I really am because I saw this picture. Let's see. Oh, it's not in here right now. Of Carol Ann McCandless in the Nashville area with her beautiful white on white installation quilt. And I thought, I got to get an interview with her. And I contacted her before Christmas. And let's just do it right after the beginning of the year. And then we got the plague, right? So we finally caught up with each other. She is just a dear, dear woman. And we're going to meet up with her and we're going to see how that was made and get our noses right up on it to look at her incredible work and how did it happen and all of that. But in the meantime, while people are loading on, Susan Skeel sent me this. She said it made me think of me. I don't know, man. This just made me so happy. Susan, thank you so, so much. That just makes me, if you're having a poopy day today, just look at that picture again and it will bring you out of it. The other thing that I saw was this. Let me get rid of this here. This on Facebook, and it took me a little bit to really see what I was looking at. But look how the birds turn into fish. I think that's absolutely incredible. Credit goes to Lohan Drick. It took me a minute, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. When I see things like this, it makes me stop for a minute because I love quilts that when you first look at it, you go, okay, blue and white quilt. And then you have to really see what the artist has in mind. So this I wanted to share with you for sure. And then, no, I don't want to do that. And then I wanted to show you something I saw on, I don't know where, probably Facebook. And I think this is really interesting. It's composition examples. And yes, there are things you can do and things you can't do that will work and will not work. And I thought this was so simply laid out there. So you've got the rule of thirds. All right. I typically, when I'm doing the rule of thirds, I put something in the bottom right hand um, tic-tac-toe, right where that 0 is. That's typically where I put it. You don't like if you have a block that's screaming or something like that, that's a good place to see. I've not seen the golden spiral before or ever really considered diagonal. But then here we have pyramid, S curve, and L shape. It might be an interesting thing to do to look up composition examples and see what else you can come up with. But I thought it was really, quite wonderful. So here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I am so delighted that Carol Ann said yes. And I know you'll walk away feeling the same way about her. And so let's take a look. See if you have any questions, post them up. I can answer. Whoops. Oh, and I hope this is the right one. Yep. Hey, Carol Ann, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for allowing me to be on your show. I'm so blessed.
Well, I will tell you, you're out of Tennessee.
Mhm.
Music
Nashville
Land.
area.
No.
Music. Yeah.
Well, as I mentioned before we got started here, when your quilt started going around the internet, it set the quilt world on fire, and we will get to that in a moment and show everybody. Were you surprised at the response?
Definitely was. I was just in awe. There's no words for that because when you put something out there, you never know where the Lord's going to take it.
You
And
don't.
so it was a huge blessing to me. Yes.
So, what everybody needs to understand is that, Caroline, you've been a professional quilter for since when did you start? Was it 14, did you say?
I actually got my first long arm in 2012, the fall of
2012.
2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you a
Yeah.
duck to water?
Yes.
No, were you or not really? No.
No.
Oh,
Believe that one. I mean,
I'm
no.
going to hang up on you
And
right now.
plus, no computer, just free motion.
Right, right.
I was intent on that. As crazy as that sounds. Yes.
So let's show people now basically you did this for hire forever and ever. So a lot of your things are not within your custodianship, correct?
Absolutely. For a very, very long time. Actually, just until recently, just, it's always been about what everybody else basically wants. I had little time for my own stuff.
But you do
And so,
now.
yes, I am looking forward to that now, very much so.
Okay, so look at this adorable Santa.
He's so cute. Yes.
Did you
And
piece him too? Did you piece him?
I did. I did. Yes. Yeah. He just turned out adorable.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
Really, really liked the way his beard came to life.
I know,
I,
I know. And
I
that's not that big,
enjoy.
is it? That's not that big.
No, no, it's about 2 feet by 2.5, something like
Okay,
that.
okay.
Yes.
I'm gauging it from the stripes on the binding. That's how I'm coming up with that
Yeah.
question.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Sticking with Christmas. This is
Sticking with
beautiful.
Christmas. So this is one of my. I taught long arming for a while for accomplished quilting in Goodlettsville, and I enjoyed that so much. But I did the big dream panels for several years, and this was a poinsettia that I happened to be fond with, and just had a great time teaching people how to do feathers.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. Do you remember who designed that poinsettia?
Would it be Hoffman?
Yeah,
I think
yeah, but there wasn't an artist behind it that you can recall?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay, but I mean, there are not a lot of these, but there are a lot of wonderful big panels that you can get and test
Mm-hmm.
and try it, okay? But
Mm-hmm.
you don't just do the quilting, you're also into designing things, and I think this is
Oh,
wonderful.
yes, fun, fun. That's the artsy fartsy part of me that comes out for sure. Because I meddle in a lot of stuff. I just have to keep my hands in some art. So this one I just recently did, and a first landscape piece, and I just kind of pulled it all together. I just start, and it just continues and it goes. So there's a lot of little pieces, like the dragonfly is thread painting,
Oh,
and
wow.
there's a lot of handwork in there, especially at the bottom. And there's some hand embroidered flowers and just a lot of different little pieces going
And you
on.
you emailed me and said you love to do handwork, right?
I do. I do.
Yeah,
Yes, very much
that
so.
surprised me. So yay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to get to the original image that was circling the internet just in case you missed it.
No.
Ah!
That's what I said when I first saw it there. It was crazy. Yeah, it was. I still am dumbfounded. Yeah, that it's
So
upsetting because
how
it's a
did you
great.
get this gig? I think originally you told me it kind of started with your guild.
These are a few members of the guild that worked on the other project that we'll get to. A couple of those ladies worked hot and heavy on it as well, and so what happened about 2.5 years ago, this design firm in Texas got a hold of Music City Quilt Guild and the president, and wanted sent her a bunch of pictures off of the internet, like off of Pinterest or whatever. I don't know where they got them, pictures of quilts. And they were like, we want this to happen in this location. I mean, they hadn't even started building the building yet. And they just wanted to know if we would be interested in, and if we could actually, make something like that to display in their building. So
And we
that,
will don't worry, everybody, we'll tell you where it is and you can go see it and all that. But I think it's fascinating that they went to a quilt. I find that fascinating.
well, in hindsight, I wish I would have asked him that as well. But I think it's because, and in seeing some of their posh interior, um, I think it's because they wanted to stick with the art side of Music City, because we're music is arts, and I believe that they wanted to keep the art part of it intact. And I do believe that quilting is on the rise as well, and that is just not, go buy a quilt to put on your wall instead of a painting, because
Well,
it's probably
you're preaching to the
right.
choir here, right here, right now,
Right,
but I just think that's
exactly.
marvelous. Now, I asked you, did this start with a drawing? And
Mhm.
you said yes. So thank you for sending the drawing along. Tell us about this.
Okay, so I had to draw something based on the quilts that they showed me, um, and they wanted something in black and white. And I had to come up with something that I had a feeling that they would like. So I just started drawing, and this is the end of my drawing. It took a little while to just kind of make this happen, but it just again, I just start, and it just kind of goes with an artist part. So it was on graph paper, and I showed it to them, and they're like, "Yeah, I love it." And so I'm like, "Whew,
Yeah,
that's
how
good."
scary is
So let's
that?
go from there. Yeah, one hurdle, right?
Okay,
Yes.
so I would say the next hurdle is then how do you get that blown up full size to go on that large piece? How big was that piece? Do you even remember?
Oh yeah. So the piece itself that you see in its setting is 79 inches high by 125 inches wide.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it barely fit on my long arm. I have a 12-foot long arm. And she wanted it a little bit wider, like 135, but I could only quilt so in so much area. I spread it as far as I could. So 125 was the end result. Yes.
Okay, so how did you get this onto the cloth then?
Okay. So there's so much that goes into that story. Um, I had to figure that out, obviously. How was I going to get this rendition from, just on graph paper to this great big huge monstrosity, right? And the only thing I could think of was if they would agree to print it off in life size form.
Yeah.
And so they did it like at a blueprint company or
Yeah.
something, and they did that for me. They took that very drawing, and they printed it off, and they sent it to me in a great big tube with lots of big papers that I had to put together
Mhm.
and to make that go together. And however, the I about cried when I saw it, because every one of those little black lines was a half an inch wide. I dare, I'm not lying. It was a half an inch. So yes, that plan did not work.
Oh, did you take a picture
And
of that? Did you take a picture of that?
you know what? I should have. I didn't. I
Wow.
didn't. I know.
Okay, so
So
so after you get ill, okay, then what?
yeah, go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
throw up. and come back and rethink, fall back and regroup again. And so what I decided I was going to do was, which is based on kind of what I was going to do before, I took the Golden Threads yellow
Mhm.
tracing paper, and I taped all that together. I was going to just literally trace this whole thing off and then trace it on to my fabric before I put it on the long arm. But no, that was not going to happen based on that fact, and
And you
which made my
prayed, and you
job,
prayed,
yeah,
and you
it
prayed.
totally made my job that much harder. So I did go ahead and use the golden threads, but the areas, there was some basic areas like the circles and the lines and like the mountain area. I drew those areas off onto my onto the yellow paper. And so then it was just those areas that I laid out onto my machine, and I stitched over those lines. So I stitched over the golden paper
Okay,
as well.
gotcha, gotcha.
Areas. Okay. So yeah.
So I wanna go on to the fabric that you used and the thread that you used.
Okay. So the fabric, I was concerned about, the longevity of just cotton, just like, in a setting like that. And
Mhm,
so I felt like it needed to be a little bit more home deck. So we decided on a cotton sateen, in which they approved as well. Again, I had to have it white and I had to have black thread. Well, just your regular 40 weight thread is not going to show up in a setting like that
mhm,
either way,
mhm.
Jose. So I knew I had to use 12 weight thread. Well, this thread right here happens to be the Wonderfill
I was gonna ask that, yeah.
spaghetti. Yes. There were several that I auditioned before that, but this one gave me the least amount of what do you call it? The cotton just
The
flying every.
furriness, the furriness. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and it even at that, it took me several days to even get my tension correct with the 12 weight thread, because did I ever use 12 weight thread on my long arm before? No, but I had no choice in doing that.
So what was the
And so
bobbin thread?
I did use a 30 weight because
Okay,
it didn't
okay,
it that did not need to change necessarily,
okay.
just the top part. So I did wind up using, to all who care and want to do this, a size 20 needle.
Yeah, because we're all gonna do it this weekend.
I know, right?
And then you had mentioned to me, or maybe you already just said it was a cotton sateen?
Uh-huh. Yes. A white.
What did you mark with when you had to mark?
Oh Lord, good question. Because uh, thank God I tested before. I had thought
Always.
that I could draw some of my, not being able to draw onto the yellow paper. I thought I could draw it onto my fabric, right? And just kind of redraw it that way. But that did not work. I tested out the our blue water soluble, would not come out,
Sure,
would not come out.
sure.
And even the air erasable, the purple air erasable would not come out.
And it's cotton
So yeah,
sateen, cotton
yes,
sateen.
cotton
Huh,
sateen.
huh.
So I was stuck again as to how am I, because there had to be some lines that I had to draw on there, especially
Yeah.
my horizontal and vertical lines. And so I was able to use barely a very hard number two pencil, and just very lightly do it. And so I could see what it was, which I could do on the white, and then with a really good eraser, I was able to erase anything that I needed to. But
So I want to quickly look at it on the long arm and then some of the close-ups. And I believe in getting ready for this, you said you used a double wool batting, correct?
double, yeah, 2 layers of wool batting
Okay.
because you needed to have that poof effect, of course, up that high, and 2 layers. I didn't feel comfortable doing more than 2 layers on the long arm
Okay.
anyway, right?
So let's get our noses on
Mhm.
this. Wait, go away, thread. You guys are gonna go out of your
Something
mind.
like I had my nose in it, right?
Yeah, right.
For a very long time.
So did you basically get the big sections like the arcs of the double lines and stuff like that, and then just go fill in? So did you
Mhm.
establish the big lines first?
Yes, yes. And fall back a minute before that. I did have to, as with any other big design like this, those of you who do this, I did a ton of basting on that whole thing to begin with. So I could pick and choose which areas and roll back and forth to the areas that I wanted to work with.
Okay, I've never heard of that before. So you must have basted it on your long arm and then you could
Yeah,
go back and forth.
yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
yes.
Gotcha.
Just like in white thread, regular
Okay.
thread.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never heard of people doing that. Is that common? Because I know you taught this.
Yeah,
Huh.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Look
Mhm.
at this,
You kind of have
everybody.
to, especially like with the big dream flowers. You need to start in the middle and work out. And so you have to base the whole thing
Mhm.
first.
How about those straight lines, that grid? Yay, yay, yay.
Yes, those straight lines. Thank God I used my channel locks. I was really, really worried about the horizontal and vertical lines being straight once it was up there. And so I used my channel locks, which I don't have the button to push to lock it in. I had to go to the back of my machine
Oh gosh.
so, and do that every single line because you had to unlock it, then lock it, then unlock it, get it, set it again, then lock it again, da 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 da. I mean, yeah, I did not keep count of that.
There's just so many here to go through. This is just
Yeah,
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
yeah, yes, and the evenness of the lines. It was, yeah, you can
Straight
kind of tell missing stitches there. Yeah.
straight line is not for wimps, okay? I got
No, it is not. It is not.
I mean,
Neither are
look at this.
straight
Look at
lines
this
when you
grid,
have to
people.
fill in like that.
Oh gosh.
So that's another part of whenever you see the whole picture, you'll see that as with anything, there's balance in the depth of color and not. There's balance in where I put the feathers and not. There's balance in straight lines as opposed to curved lines. So there was a whole big lot of balancing going on with the design. It was very hard to get my great big circles because obviously I could not use any type of rulers to do that. So I did have to literally just take something great big and round and draw it on there and then very carefully stitch it out so that it was perfect.
So when we go to part B, the other quilt,
Yes.
you got paid for this, but you didn't take the money. Talk about that.
Okay, so um, since they wanted Music City Quilt Guild to, as a whole, to get this started, it first of all, it was like that particular piece in itself. There's no way that a bunch of people, our guild's like I don't know, almost 100,
Mhm.
could work on this, right? It's a one man show for that one. We
Yeah.
had another one. We had another one. So we had to, I definitely wanted the guild to be as much a part of this as possible. And so the other project in the same building
Which
allowed
we're
us
coming
to
to in a
go
moment.
and
Yeah.
do that. Yes. And so the funds that was raised to do this, I very much wanted to donate all of my time and the other girls that worked with us and donate their time so that we could get some great teachers in. And because a lot of the ladies, you know, they're sweet, love you old ladies that are with me do this, but I can't go anywhere and do a bunch of
That's
this, you
exactly
know, like
right.
even to Paducah or whatever, you know, they're not going to be able to go. So I wanted to be able to bring those ladies to us. So that's my hope in continuing this on, because we
You
literally
are
just finally
amazing.
got paid. Just finally got paid. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, eh,
So yeah.
okay,
Yay.
okay, but that's not enough. That's not enough because on the
No,
5th floor, the
on the fifth
guild
floor.
ladies then took care of this, correct?
Yes. Now I designed this part, and I had Belinda Harden and Barb Ide were my go-tos, my helpers, and were just there every time I turned around. You know, we had to make a mock-up, a small mock-up of this. To begin with, it did not, what we initially were going to do was not like this. There was a couple of rough drafts and finally came upon this, and Barb did a mock up, and Belinda took all of my little pieces and made them life size. So if you want to go back to the other one, it was a construction paper. Yes, that
Mhm.
one. That is a picture of to scale, and that's construction paper that I had in my sweet little drawer, of all these different colors. I knew that they wanted different colors. This is a 5 panel project. Each panel is 40 inches wide by 90 inches long. And this panel had to be um, it had to present itself completely as one. So we had to design it as one, but yet it was put up in 5 different sections.
But look at this, everybody. Okay, so we're looking at the construction paper. Okay, those okay, no, let me go back to here. Okay, 5 panels you said?
Yes, there are
And look at
five
those
panels.
horizontal lines that go across perfectly.
Yeah, it took some work.
So,
It definitely did. Thank you for noticing that. It took some
oh,
work.
gee, I love
Yeah,
graphic design, okay, so this is where it's at. This is a brand new facility
yeah.
that's being built in Nashville, right?
It's already completed at this
Uh-huh,
point.
uh-huh.
Um, it is so posh and it's amazing.
Well, let's take a look
It
at inside.
is,
Let's look inside real here. Okay,
yeah.
foo-foo.
And you can go online and also see it. It's called the Rosette, Rosette Apartments, and this is in Green Hill. Right there, it is. Yes, and that's the lobby area, and that's where the quilt is featured too. And to the left, you can barely see it, but that's a glass front, so
Okay.
you can drive by and see it as well from as you drive by in your car. You can see this as well.
How did oh, I have to put this in before I get to a little finishing question. All right, let's do this.
There's Bluebird.
If you don't know what
Hey.
the Bluebird Cafe is, you
A
need to
lot of people. I believe even Taylor Swift got one of her beginnings started
Oh,
there.
oh,
Oh,
they
yes.
I looked it
I
up.
mean, it's
It's
that big.
huge.
It's
It
huge.
is
It's
I
huge.
don't think it's easy to get um I think it's a big deal to get reservations and all that. So, okay, so I am in Nashville and I want to go to the Rosette. Do they have office hour or how does this work?
So that area where the quilts are, it is apartments. So people go in and out of this area as well. So it is definitely manned by managers, concierge, and
Okay.
you'll get greeted by somebody the minute you walk in there.
And my guess is that
Yes,
it'd be no big deal to see yours, but maybe to get up to the 5th floor might be a little bit of an issue.
might be a little bit of an issue. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, this has just been
I know, right? Yeah. And just let me say, I think the girls at the guild, they had a great time of putting all that together. There was probably like 25 or so ladies that were able to do that, and the girls that worked underneath me being able to resize all that because they resized while I did the other, and it was just a support team, all the way through it. It was quite the undertaking, but we did it.
This
Yes.
is what I
Yes.
have to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so, so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it
Great,
very
great.
much.
Congratulations. 2.5 years, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yay, Music City Quilt Guild.
Woohoo! Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Caroline. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will
Appreciate
meet.
it.
We will meet. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I hope
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we will.
Okay.
Isn't isn't that just OMG exclamation point. She was You can tell that she is a teacher, okay? And I know a lot of you, when you go to Paducah, you fly into Nashville and then you drive up to Paducah. So I wanted to make sure that we got it there in time. And I can't express enough the gratitude that she has to her Music City Quilt Guild. She just said, I've got to make sure she it there's something just really special about Carol Ann. And that's the great thing about going to shows like Paducah. Okay, I haven't met her, but I will. I haven't met Ruth Odell yet, but I will. Here's the latest Ruth with the cat Sophie. This is the latest thing she worked on. She she thought she was getting a kit of solids, and no, it was really big stripes, so she had to figure out how to use them. I can't wait to meet her. I love these gigs. Okay, so the Music City Guild is in Nashville. Okay, that's where it is. And also, Susan asked about removing stitches. I have no idea. I wish I thought of that question. You need to be my producer. That's a good question. Okay, so here's some stuff I want to share with you. I showed this by mistake a little bit earlier, but this particular exhibit by oh, here we go, right here. Amy Sherald. She did these portraits. They happen to be at the MoMA right now in San Francisco, MoMA. And the exhibit is through, I think, about the first week in March. So you don't want to miss it. And so what happened, um, let me see. What happened was that when I found out it was coming, I wanted to go with somebody. She couldn't go. I'm such a wimp. I don't like to drive in San Francisco anymore. But my best friend Karen has no problem. So we're going to meet and go. So, anyways, my daughter saw it in DC. I'm not quite sure where, but she's not an art person. She even said that to me. Mom, I'm not an art person. She walked around the corner and saw this and was almost taken to her knees. And this has been a bucket list of mine to go to. So it's at MoMA, and of course, other work of hers will be there too. And I believe for the first hours, I have no idea, Marion, and I doubt she does too, Carol Ann, because there were so many bumps in the road that she had to overcome. But I think she did say it took about 2.5 years for the whole thing. So, okay. John wanted me to tell you this, and then I'll tell you what's coming up. Many of you, thankfully, are members of thequiltshow.com. And if not, you might want to join because it helps support all of this. When you renew or when you become a member, you go up into your dashboard, which is what is that? But it's in the upper right hand corner and it'll say your name. And in there, every time again you renew or you join, you get a 25% coupon off shopping in our store, which if you've needed to stock up on your rulers or this or that, take advantage of it. And the other thing you need to know, if the sum total is over $100, and I'm not sure if that's after the 25. I think it is. We will ship for free. I'm not 100% on that, but it's really it's a great opportunity for you, and it's our thank you to you. Okay, so Kelly, Ruth Ruth I'm gonna say it wrong, is a very lovely lady and talented. I've taken a lot of classes by her. So Kelly, at Paducah this year, I'm the announcer, all right, which scares me half to death because I can't a lot of these names that are like from Japan and this and that. I'm scared to death I'm going to slaughter them, but they said they'll work with me. I'm going to meet her for the first time. And I'm really, really excited about that. And that's one of the great things about these shows. Actually, the quiltshow.com is going to be at Paducah this year, taping a bunch of segments. Okay, if you don't use the coupon in the current year, can you use it for the previous year? Does it? I don't think it does, Peggy, but don't maybe John will come running in here in a minute because this is about a 7-second delay. I don't think it does. So please take advantage of it. It's our thank you to you. Okay, the Music City Quilt Guild, the large quilt took over 100 hours to make. And I'm wondering if that isn't the one that's on the 5th floor. I mean, I really don't know. Gosh darn it, you guys have such great, 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 good questions. All right. So what's coming up next Monday? Well, back in the day at Simply Quilt, some of you might remember, one of my producers was Claire O'Donoghue. And right after Sim oh, your coupon does not expire. Claire, I got to know very, very well, and it's wonderful because these women and men that were producers, it was kind of an extraordinary environment where we've all remained wonderful friends. You can see here that she's worked on the History Channel, True TV, Food Network, A&E, Discovery, and TLC. She is currently a producer for two True Crimes. Okay, so if you enjoy that show, Claire's one of the people behind the scenes. Well, as soon as Simply Quilt got canceled, and I don't know how long before, whatever, it was her deal to write books. All right. So her very first book was Lover's Knot. And the reason I say it was right after Simply Quilts got canceled was because it was kind of during that time frame. She has a bunch of books, Claire O'Donoghue, but her first series was about quilting and murder. So maybe that's how she got the job on true crime. But anyways, after she did, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the quilting series, she went on to do other writing. It's whimsical, whimsical might be a real, it's easy to read, and being a quilter, especially with those, you get right into it. But her latest one is Storm at Sea. And people kept asking about the main characters that were in the first books of the Someday Quilts mystery series. So she wrote Storm at Sea. So she asked me if she could interview me, and I'm like, okay. And then as the interview went on, I kind of was a back and forth interview, and she's given me to permission to share it next Monday. So I'm very, very excited about that. So, Jenny, I don't know, but you will concur with me, Miss Lyon. That's why you always, always test. Remember, she said it was on cotton sateen, and she used the blue, and I forget the other thing she used. Jenny, as a remarkable teacher yourself, I'm sure you pound down on test, right? Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so they said the first floor took over 100 hours. The upstairs was done over a month by more than 25 quilters. Well, I can't wait to meet you, okay? I'll be in Paducah. I'll be in the Quilter Select booth, and I will be there Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we'll be cutting out about 2 o'clock so we can go see our kids that live right close by to Nashville. I love it. So, thank you so much for joining me. I knew you would love this. I knew you would love it. And I knew you would love looking at all the close ups and all that. So, thank you for choosing to spend your time with me, and have a great rest of the day for the 3-day weekend. And I'll see you next Monday. Ta da!